Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources.
RT World News. October 9, 1919 America, New York. Over 50 million people suffered from major depressive disorder in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic, new global study estimates. The coronavirus pandemic has added to the burden of depressive and anxiety disorders in over 200 countries last year, a new study shows, saying the impact of COVID-19 has increased the number of depressed people by nearly a third. New York Times World News. October 9, 1913 America, New York. Brazil's COVID death toll passes 600,000. The figure represents a heartbreaking amount of loss, though at the same time, it was a signal that the rate of fatalities in the country has been slowing. A Brazilian flag was added to a display representing the 600,000 people who have died from COVID-19 in Brazil on Friday at Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro.
October 9, 1909 America, New York. NIH director makes plea to evangelical Christians. NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins, an evangelical Christian, says disinformation has made a lot of Christians confused or fearful about the COVID-19 vaccine. October 9, 1909 America, New York. Army General Raymond Odierno, who commanded Iraq War Strategy, dies at 67. General Ray Odierno, a former four-star Army general who commanded U.S. troops during the Iraq War, died Friday of cancer, according to Army spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Terrence M.
New York Times World News. October 9, 1902 America, New York. 34,000 unvaccinated home health aides in New York lose jobs. The losses worsened a labor shortage in the industry, but the overall inoculation rate of 86% was higher than expected. Workers at the Hebrew Home at Riverdale, a nursing home in the Bronx, last month. New York Times World News. October 9, 1828 America, New York. Bolshoi performer is killed in Onstage accident. The man, in his late 30s, was crushed during a scene change as the opera, Sadko, was performed before an audience, the theater said. A performer was killed on stage at the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow on Saturday during a performance of Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov's Sadko.
October 9, 1809 America, New York. A Georgia police officer was fatally shot on his first department shift. Authorities are searching for the suspect. A 26-year-old police officer was shot and killed early Saturday morning while working his first shift for the Alamo Police Department in Wheeler County, Georgia, authorities said. October 9, 1746 America, New York. Passengers aboard American Eagle flight deplaned due to potential security threat at LaGuardia Airport. An American Eagle flight arriving at New York City's LaGuardia Airport on Saturday afternoon was deplaned on the tarmac due to a potential security issue, according to a statement from American Airlines.
Mirror World News. October 9, 1733 America, New York. Fascinating story of woman who made Remembrance Day Poppy appeal the force it is. Racism and misogyny blamed for French academic Anna Guéra's lack of fame despite her efforts to commemorate millions of soldiers killed in the First World War.
New York Times World News. October 9, 1733 America, New York. Canadian admits fabricating terrorism tale detailed in New York Times podcast. In exchange for the admission of the man, Sheroz Chaudhry, Canada dropped criminal charges against him. Sheroz Chaudhry copied photographs from the internet to help cultivate his image of an ISIS fighter, including this one taken by a Russian photographer in Aleppo, Syria, in 2016. New York Times World News. October 9, 1730 America, New York. Populist leader of Czech Republic narrowly defeated in election. The results suggest that the populist wave in Eastern and Central Europe is receding, stalled by the growing unity of its opponents and a crisis of confidence after the defeat of the former U.S.
Fox World News. October 9, 1730 America, New York. Taliban say they won't work with U.S. to contain Islamic State. The Taliban on Saturday ruled out cooperation with the United States to contain extremist groups in Afghanistan, staking out an uncompromising position on a key issue ahead of the first direct talks between the former foes since America withdrew from the country in August.
Mirror World News. October 9, 1725 America New York, 200 Afghan allies, abandoned and at risk of execution after British withdrawal. It is estimated up to 200 translators, British embassy support staff and families are at risk of execution or imprisonment by the Taliban and many are now in hiding.
RT World News. October 9, 1715 America New York. French minister says UK hasn't paid a penny towards stopping migrant crossings. French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin has accused Britain of withholding millions of pounds in funding to stop migrant boats crossing the English Channel. He said France's authorities have cracked down on the crossings anyway.
Mirror World News. October 9, 1715 America New York. Taliban orders the UK to pay billions of pounds compensation for Afghanistan war. Colonel Richard Kemp, who led British troops during the 20-year Afghanistan conflict, condemns outrageous demand by Taliban regime responsible for torture and murder.
October 9, 1707 America New York. Bully-in-chief, Acosta calls out Trump comments. CNN's Jim Acosta discusses the chaos around masks in schools and other coronavirus restrictions, and some Republicans who are supporting the apparent bullies in these instances. October 9, 1658 America New York. Opinion, it's time to rethink how we are teaching history in our schools. Less than a year out of high school, I was given a book that would rock my world and propel me to question everything I ever learned about U.S. history. It was Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States.
Wall Street Journal World News. October 9, 1653 America New York. Czech Prime Minister loses his bid for re-election. Billionaire businessman Andrej Babis had been at the forefront of a populist wave that swept Central Europe after the 2015 migrant crisis.
Fox World News. October 9, 1642 America New York. Russians flock to Serbia for Western-made COVID-19 vaccines. When Russian regulators approved the country's own coronavirus vaccine, it was a moment of national pride, and the Pavlov family was among those who rushed to take the injection. October 9, 1633 America New York. Fiona Hill says Trump admin. Officials gave her an obscene nickname. Fiona Hill, a former Russia advisor to former President Donald Trump, reveals a sexist nickname given to her by officials in the Trump administration.
BBC News World. October 9, 1626 America New York. Olivier Rousting, Balmain designer, reveals fireplace explosion injuries. Olivier Rousting, creative director of Balmain, shared a picture of himself swathed in bandages.